Hello and welcome to Raise Your Vibes TV. I'm your host, Athena Bahri, wellness leader, Reiki master, author of award-winning book, Raise Your Vibes, and creator of Crystal Reiki Healer, bringing you spiritual education, meditations, the gift of Reiki, and inspirational guests from around the world to help guide you on your journey to live happier and healthier. Thank you for tuning in to Raise Your Vibes. It is such a gift to be sharing energy with you here. And today's show is sponsored by Westwood Clinic of West Los Angeles, California, where wellness is found with compassion, chiropractic care, and healing tools of the highest technology for your physical pain relief and healing. They are a certified MLS laser therapy facility helping thousands of patients reclaim their health and overcome the limitations of living with pain. Find out more about this amazing healing space at westwoodclinic.com. And now we have a very special guest joining us today from Vancouver, Canada. Please welcome Mara Branscombe, a yoga and meditation teacher, mother, artist, ceremonialist, spirit coach, and author of Ritual as Remedy, Embodied Practices for Soul Care. Mara, thank you for joining us on Raise Your Vibes. I'm so grateful to have you on the show today.
Athena, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. So in Ritual as Remedy, which I love the title, by the way, you teach us about ancient and modern rituals and ceremony, yes?
Yes.
Yes. So can you tell us what are some of the similarities, maybe some of the differences between these and how they act as remedy for us?
That's a great question. So at the baseline, my work is around earth spirituality, and I work with the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And so that's been around forever, since the beginning of time. So there's our ancient ritual energy right there. I work a lot with following the cycles of the moon. So every 29 and a half days, we go from new moon, full moon, back to new moon. So that's a big part of the ancient ritual practices, along with the seasons. Not all of us live in the 4 seasons, but very much a part of that energy is marking the solstices and the equinoxes. So the modern piece of it for me is like, how can I make this accessible for our busy lives? And these short, simple rituals that we can do on a daily basis to really enhance the quality of our life. So the book is all about both riding those edges and making it as accessible as possible to everyone.
I love that. And I love how you incorporate the 5 elements. This is such a big one. Now in your rituals, do you always use all 5, or does it depend on the ritual? How would you guide people to explore that?
Yes, it depends on the ritual. Now each chapter is dedicated, in fact, to an element. So
I love
that's really steeped in that. And we go even deeper into emotional energy, clearing our emotions, working with our mind a lot. And so I work with the 7 energy centers connected to the elements. And then at the end of each chapter, thank you. At the end of each chapter, it's basically like a recipe book at the end, which is the formulas of the rituals. And so some are more simple, and we'll just work with water, for example, and in learning how to flow and learning how to let go and learning how to carry on and work with change. Or we work with fire specifically for transformation and releasing what no longer serves us. So it's depending.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love that. Yes. My own moon rituals and rituals in general started with the moon and started with fire burning. So this really resonated with me about letting go and releasing what's no longer serving us. And when I wrote my own book, that was the first chapter I actually worked on, because I was like, well, this is what I do, so we have to share it. And then at one point, my publisher is like, okay, if we keep going, this is going to be a very long book. So we're like, okay, let's break it up a little bit, how we can use different parts. Yeah. So you incorporate the moon cycles, right? And I, of course I love that. How would you say is the difference between, I mean, I know what it is for me, but sharing with our audience, what is the difference between, say the new moon or the full moon, and which elements to use? How would you guide us there?
Yeah, great question. So the new moon is that a more internal time. It's the time where we go into our inner self and perhaps recalibrate. That's a time to begin new things, new ideas, new cycles. So it's a time of cleaning from within and actually connecting to that. And when we look at how often do we do that? Well, you get to do that once a month, which is amazing. So once we start doing this work, right, it's like, I look forward to the new moon. I look forward to and there's also, it's a journal prompts people can follow along with. Very simple, simple work to do at home. And so, and depending on, the astrology at the time and what sign is in what will, correspond that with, what elements we're working with.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay,
but in general, and so then the full moon, we're more expansive. And the full moon, I always work, and I share this with people, the full moon reflects back to us what may be out of balance in our life. Perfect. Drama, intensity, we get pulled, we see it in our relationships, perhaps in our children, even in our animals. We're affected by the moon's tides. So
absolutely.
And I have found over the years of doing this work, many years, many moons, is that once people understand what's actually going on, like there's a greater force at play, then we feed the drama less. And we understand more where our work is to be done. Personally.
Yes, and able to turn in a little bit more, right? And recognize how we're being affected, because that's, so often we're so reactive, right? We're just reacting on these emotions. And I think you have something there by tuning into where the cycle is and, how just recognizing how the energy can change. We can also see how maybe we're shifting and just kind of, not feed the drama, as you say. I love that. So also in the book, speaking of, drama and tuning into yourself, you have this this part in there. And I love how you phrase it, dancing with your shadow self. Now, so many people, they hear about shadow work, and a lot of the time when they do, they're like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. So what does this mean when you're dancing with your shadow self? Mm-hmm. How do people recognize even what their shadow self is?
Mm-hmm. Similar as to what I described, when the moon reflects back to us what's out of balance, that's our shadow. So if we think of ourselves as two parts, we're both light and dark, we're both sun and moon, we're both masculine and feminine. We all have this capacity in us. And when we can honor that and recognize it, we can dance with it as in honoring, okay, I feel my shadow coming up, which could be my limiting core beliefs. I am never, I am always, the way we play a victim in life, the way we play martyr. We have all these narratives that we play out based on our past and our current situation. And so dancing with the shadow self, it's almost like, I give my shadow permission to play itself out a little bit, to not be repressed or pushed down, so that I can work towards evolving it.
I love that. So when somebody has these feelings that come up, I'm never going to be able to, reach my goals. I'm never going to be able to find my true partner. Mm-hmm. How do they then sit with that so that they're able to release these feelings and grow from them rather than, like you say, repressing them?
Mm-hmm. I think the first place is awareness. Self-awareness, actually understanding, okay, so if we have 50 to 80,000 thoughts per day, something wild like that, we really do as humans, we're just wild beasts, right?
Yes.
And if I'm slightly on that negative spectrum, 70% of those thoughts are going to be negative, which is huge. This is our reality. What we think, we become, right? Those old expressions. And so the awareness that that's happening, it can very easily come through a journal process. So journaling has been very ritualistic for me, as is writing, absolutely. A writing process. So whether it be creative writing, journaling, or just, getting those thoughts out, getting those emotions out every morning, that's very helpful. That's what I recommend someone to do when they're going through a time of that discovery. Once we understand what those negative core beliefs are, then we can start to shift them and replace them with positive life affirmations.
Yes.
which can be a morning ritual. And this is a big part of my work, is how do you wake up and how do you go to sleep? And can we start to ritualize these areas so that we're holding sacred space for ourselves,
Right.
essentially?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And it's so important how we start the day, how we finish the day. And we spend so many hours sleeping. So you want that energy to be positive, right?
And clear. We want it to be, clean. And then also receptive for, like you said, receptive for good energy to come in.
Absolutely. And I feel like also in this process, and maybe you'll agree, when you're writing down these things that, these negative thoughts, and that's kind of how I started journaling as a kid, was as just a safe place to put all those things that I would maybe never speak out loud, and maybe don't even want to admit to myself, but I can set it outside. And when you do that, it kind of gives you this also like separation from them. You kind of a new perspective, like, okay, I've gotten it out of my brain, it's on paper, it's now outside of me, and I can let it go. And that's why I love burn releases so much too. With the fire, you can write all that down and set it on fire, let the universe take it, transmute it. It's just such a great practice. I love that. So you've done from what I was reading about you, you've done some pretty amazing travels and studies and, different shamanic things and Incas. And please share with us, like, on all these different tools, these different coaches and people you've experienced in your travels. Was this also kind of part of your inspiration to then go live off the grid, as you say, in your cabin in the woods? I would love to hear more about this.
Yes, I feel that similar to you, Athena, I had my first experience of ritual with a burning ceremony. And I was so lucky because I was a teenager. And it just so happened to be that one of my mom's or my friend's mothers, she was part of a women's group that did this work. And I was raised in a very traditional, conservative environment. And I went completely the other direction than the rest of my family. It's just, I feel like, and I've been so connected to the moon my whole life. It was my first memory. I've always been so attracted to it. So once I started to discover that there was actually something behind this, and there was a formula, and there were ways to study, I was always so curious and lit up around this kind of information. So I followed that trail, and one thing leads to the next. And no time is ever lost. That's a real deep message that I want to, share with the work and inspire others, that we can shift at any time of our life. We can shift career. We can, shift our mindset. We can shift all the ways that we, it's like we're on this earth to evolve. And so to follow the path that lights you up most and see what happens is to me the true journey.
Oh, I love that. So this led you to the woods then?
Yes.
And how does your family think about this? Did you pull them along with you?
Yes, right. Well, I don't live off the grid anymore. So I will, yes, I did for a time. And it was an amazing time of my life. I often lead retreats now. One specifically, I lead international retreats, one specifically that's off the grid. And it brings something out in people that is just so true, because we're down to the basics. We're down to the raw elements, essentially. And yes, my family, eventually came on board. They wanted to push me to do the traditional work. And I did that for a bit, and then I left it. And that was the biggest gift for me, is to leave the traditional path that everyone told me I should do because I was good at it. And they wanted me to fit into that mainstream. And when I liberated myself and found, I am a teacher, but I'm a teacher of healing modalities. I'm not a school teacher. And so, like, for example, so I just feel, and that led me to living in the woods. It led me to traveling around the world and studying, shamanic techniques, and diving into being a dancer at later stages in life.
Beautiful.
So it's just that the spirit lives and thrives off what we feed grows. So that's that mantra, what you feed grows. And what are you feeding, and what are you learning at this time? And I'm not saying go like leave your job and, whatever, change your life. But what I am saying,
but you can if you want to, right? That's the point. I mean, so many of us are, and it's really a human condition, is being scared of change. Even if we feel we're not happy where we're at, the idea of trying something different or something new, the unknown, is very scary. So it's really empowering to see that you've done that yourself, like left the teaching. And you taught at Waldorf, is that right?
Yes.
My uncle was a teacher at Waldorf for over 20 years.
Oh my gosh,
German.
it's amazing.
It's amazing. And already kind of different than your traditional, education system, right? They have a very different, just methodology of how they bring up kids in this system. So you already weren't really traditional, I guess, in this sense. So this is beautiful then to change it, and I love that you actually followed that. And look, living proof, it really wasn't so bad, right? Not so scary. It all worked out.
Yeah, it's worth taking risks in life, and and it takes. And the ritual has held me the entire way. I would say, coming back to honoring the summer solstice, honoring the fall equinox, honoring the seasons, honoring the moon cycle. It's like it becomes the anchor in our changing lives. And that's really grounding, and we need the grounding.
We definitely need the grounding. We're, energetic beings, electricity, if you will. And just like an electric wire, we need to be grounded, or, you have fires burning and chaos ensuing, tantrums flaring. And so yes, always good to ground. And you talk about that a lot throughout the book, and on your, just in articles you've written, blogs, about being connected with your body. Is this in turn how you kind of help others to ground and help yourself to ground? And how is this so important, I guess we should say? Like, everybody wants to open the third eye and explore the unknown. And I'm always a big advocate for, grounding ourselves in this physical plane. So you talk about being connected to your body. How is this, how does this work?
Yes, this comes from, actually I was a gymnast. I was a high-level athlete as a child, and that transferred quickly into, I discovered Iyengar's light on yoga when I was 17, studying world religions at university. And I developed my own yoga practice because there was no yoga around where I was at that time, which led me to India to study. And, it's been part of my practice for 25 years. And so that, and then the meditation and the breath work and the dance, it all is around coming back to center. And even when you were saying third eye, it made me think, because I always refer back to the relationship of the second chakra to the third eye, right? So right at our centers, right at our navel centers, that's where we feel, our gut instincts. And so what if we put our consciousness in our gut instincts? And that's right at the center of our body, which is about embodying center. And so whatever practice you do, whatever lights you up, whether it's going to the gym, running, cycling, or yoga, dance, it's like, if we come to it with an intention of connecting back to our center, instead of the busy mind just going, kind of crazy, then we're taking it to another level.
Yes, I love that. And we have so many connections from our gut to our mind, actually, like more even than anywhere else. So important to have. And in Japanese energy healing, we call that the hara, which is our earth key, and grounds us in, because at the end of the day, we're part of this world. We're physical beings in this planet, on this earth, and really honoring that, I think, is so important too. So I love that you're expressing to do that. And it's true through dance, gymnastics, sports, gym, weight training, whatever it is, it's honoring that physical body as well. I love that. Yeah, beautiful. So, and then one other, I have to ask you because not too many people, especially in this day and age, can say that they have actually sailed across the Pacific. Yes, please share. What was this experience like for you?
Yes.
I really I've flown many times, but actually sail?
It was incredible. So we sailed from Florida to the Caribbean, and then through to Greece. So through passing by the Azores, and it was 42 days at sea, and it was a large boat, and it was incredible. It was a job at the time. I was a deckhand. Okay. Yeah, I was a deckhand, and I had actually been doing yoga with this rafting company, doing these whitewater rafting. Anyways, it was another expedition in the north where there's
one of your many hats.
One of the many hats. Okay, so then I met the chef and the captain of this boat, and they said, "Hey, do you want to come with us?" And because we were all kind of doing yoga together back in the day, and we do yoga on the boat and everything. And it was just the most brilliant experience. And I had a deep connection with the dolphins, in fact. And I'd sit at the bowsprit, and I'd put my feet in the water, and I'd call to them and whistle and clap, and they'd come and they'd dance, and they'd ride the bowsprit, and they'd swirl and turn. And it was a deep connection, I would say.
Amazing.
With that animal. And it led me actually to then, do many, many other things that it gave me permission to continue on my adventurous journey in spirit. I think it affirmed, like the universe came and it affirmed to me, like, keep going. This is good. Instead of the mind cycling, but everyone wants me to be going this way, and I should go, back.
Am I making a mistake?
Yes.
Yeah.
All those
that negative Nancy in there, or I call mine Bobby.
Having a name for it. Having a name for it is really good. Having a name for your shadow self too. Yes. And then you can laugh at her a little bit. Oh, there she is again, doing her thing over there. I see you. I got you. I'm going to hold you. I'm going to love you. Come on back. Come on back.
I love that. I love that. It's so true. And it really helps us to separate and make a distinction between what's, our reality, what's happening, and this negative thought cycle. Like it really kind of just gives you a minute. And it's like you said, we have so many thoughts. Mm-hmm. So giving it a name is like, okay, now I can turn you off, mute.
Exactly.
Yes. I love that. I love it. Do you talk about this in the book as well? Do you have a section in here?
It's like almost a whole chapter dedicated to this. And it's actually with the working a lot with the element of fire and with the element of water. So we need that fire energy to, have the self-will and the self-esteem to rise above those toxic thoughts, to rise above, to catch ourselves in the moment, right? And then we need water to be that shapeshifter and to move and know that change is the one constant in life. So how are we going to meet it?
Oh, I love that. Yes. I'd rather become the wave than fight against it. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. So, next time you find yourself, fighting that wave, just take a breath, and we go, okay, what happens if I surf the wave for a moment?
Right. Yes. I love that. And even if it topples us over, at least we tried, and we can get up and ride the next one,
Exactly.
Because they keep coming.
Right.
It's not like life gives you a break, it just, you're going to continuously be challenged and continuously have these lessons presented to us. So, even if we fail, we learn a little bit about ourselves. So it's not really a failure, is it? I guess all about perspective.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So when you were writing this book, and it's pretty good size, right? 288 pages. When you were going through this, what was probably the most challenging chapter or section of this to write for you? And why was that a challenge?
That's a
Things
really
that
good
made
question.
you go,
I think actually, the chapter I worked with on ether the fifth element, because it's very mysterious. It's very unknown. And so I went in deep into the world or the realm of mystery in a way that I hadn't before. And so as much as it was a challenge, I really appreciated it. And, going into that, and I'm sure you've experienced this as you're writing, you over the process, you do go deeper and deeper. So it's like each chapter was its own initiation. And I did go to places I didn't know I would go. And I think that was deeply transformative for me.
That's amazing. Yes, I love that. And then that energy of exploration, self-exploration also comes through, to the readers. So it's almost like they get to experience that with us.
Absolutely.
As they go through it. Yeah, I love that. And go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, it makes me, like it's as if we're writing it for the collective. That was my full intention. Yes. That this book, do you know why? Because I saw myself with the book before it was written. I had no idea I was going to write a book. Like, this was not on my bucket list. Like it wasn't, this was actually a course I taught online for 3 years.
Oh my God. Amazing.
So it birthed out of that. So it was really, the material was really in me, but I had a flash of me standing against, the bookshelf behind me, holding the book. And then I thought, I have to write the book. I have
to do this now.
Yeah. And it was too uncomfortable to not write it. In fact, like I actually, it was burning in me. It was, and, I have children and, I have a whole nother body of work that I do on a daily basis. And so this was 5 a.m. starts through the pandemic, through that first year of the pandemic, which was a real gift.
It was in so many ways. I know it had its tragedies and all this too, but, for us creatives and spiritualists, it was really a time that we were able to tune in and create so much beautiful, guides and work for others to help carry them through to the next. And so many people actually had a chance to tune in a way they really never had. Yes. We're so busy, go, this appointment, that appointment, kids to school, lunches to make. In my case, I have 3 kids. So it was very, busy. And suddenly, like, all of that kind of stuff, we got to have a minute. Yes. And that's when I wrote mine as well. So we have so many.
Oh, that's amazing.
Synchronicities here, similarities in how our practices have grown, and wearing many hats. I'm loving this. They say when you meet someone you resonate with, it's a mirror. You're seeing a reflection of yourself. So thank you. I really appreciate seeing that. Yes. It's beautiful. Wonderful. Oh my goodness. And so speaking of, the pandemic, and so many of us, we've had to deal with grief in a whole new way. And I kind of like to clarify that all of us are going to deal with grief at some point. It's the nature of the cycle of life. Yes. And not just losing a loved one, but losing a part of your life, or a partner, or a job, or something that we held on to as a constant, and then realized life kind of said, no, we're changing this now, right? Mm-hmm. So you talk about in your book a way of engaging with your grief to help. How would you engage with your grief, and how does this help people help others heal in a way that's, maybe not so traditional?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, that idea of not repressing grief any longer. And I think we're at a stage and age in, our world where it's much more accepted to grieve. And, that, and mental health is being, just really exposed in a way that, let's work with this together, as a collective. So in terms of the grief, I talk about it being, very much connected in our heart chakra. So that's in the whole chapter on the element of air. And I work with, meeting, the acceptance that we can work with grief and love, and that in a way, it's a spiral, or it's like one in the same. So there's, as much as we love, and this is very hard for someone, of course, to hear if they've experienced deep loss. So it's a process, and it's a journey, and it's always different for everyone. A very unique process. But to start to find some ways to work with the grief, similar, we talked about the journaling. I do a candle lighting practice every morning, and honor, call in a prayer. So there's ways, also in the book that describe even more, I honor my grief, but I know that my love and my grief are one and the same. So again, we're riding waves as opposed to a fixed, a totally fixed state. And it just seems to give, I've worked with clients a lot this way, it gives us a little bit more space to breathe, and then to feel supported in allowing the grief to come forward, and knowing that it must have its cycle through us in order to come to another reflection point.
I love that. That's beautiful. And all about moving with the cycles of, of life, and being fluid and allowing that change. Nothing is constant, and we learn, we grow, but I love that connection with the love and the grief, and honoring that was a part of our love, and how much we grew from that, and how much we can appreciate, and the memories that we've made, and then moving forward to create new ones, and feeling supported. That's always so important. So often when we're going through our darker moments in life, not only with grief, but anything we're going through, it's often feels very isolating. We feel very alone. Same with, depression and anxiety. We get very kind of stuck in our mind with these negative thoughts and cycles, and running through, and it becomes very hard to stop. So I love that you're able to give people kind of a way through that, a way to work through those emotions and through those feelings, and kind of turn off those negative thoughts for a moment. I love that. I love it. So you've done so many amazing things. You've sailed on ships across the world, and lived in cabins in the mountains, and studied with incredible spiritual teachers, and now accomplished writing your book, and not to mention being a mother and having your babies and welcoming life into this world. But what can we expect to see from you that you're the most excited for, or maybe on your bucket list moving forward?
Good question. Well, I've written another book.
Oh, fantastic. Like I'm one step ahead of you. I'm already there.
So I'm really excited it's so fascinating, because I didn't stop writing and I thought it was going to be a book of poetry, because I love to write prayer poems. So also in that ritual book, you'll find affirmations or prayer poems that people could just open the book to any page and maybe receive something. So what happened there is that this book of poetry that I thought was going to be just this tiny book of poetry, it evolved into a book on the feminine archetypes. And so I'm so excited to bring this to the world, and it's going to come out in 2023. So a year from now at this time, and it's on the sacred female archetypes and how to empower creativity, and essentially ignite the life you desire through these lenses.
Oh, I love that. And you certainly have led that life. So it's wonderful that you're sharing that.
And then I look forward to what comes through all of these channels. And I'm doing a lot of writing for, articles, magazines, and it really is taking the seat of the author is a new life for me. So I'm quite in awe of the depth it brings.
Yes, amazing. And how are the kids adjusting to this? Mommy working, and are you more tired than usual?
More tired.
My babies have been incredibly supportive, and it's been and my babies, I have teenagers now, and 15, almost 16, and 14 and 8, which is just wild. I don't even know what happened.
Amazing.
It's amazing. So it's wonderful. They kind of come on this journey with me. It started with like, oh, Mom, you're such a hippie, to I need this crystal to sleep with, or Mom, can you show me how to I want to do a burn for this full moon.
Oh, I love it. I mean, our children, they, if the best advice I would give to parents of young children is, always invite, but never pressure them to do, and so it's always an open invitation. My kids have been doing ceremony with me ever since they were born, for sure. And I have 2 girls, 8 and 11, and they, they're still with me on that journey. And, it's shifted for sure. But they love to engage in altar making, and, it's always been an open invitation. And so I feel like they can come in and out, and they can make it more their own. And they're also really, they're into this writing thing for me. I'd say they're like, I want to write a book too, Mom. So
yes. Great.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yes. I vote yes all the way. But yes, I so agree with that it's not about pressuring, and not only with our children, our partners, our friends, and just sometimes by, just leading by example, right? You're performing in front of them, not performing, but, performing your rituals, or creating your altars, your sacred space. And, we're curious creatures as humans, right? So, they see it enough, they start to ask questions, and then they see that we're doing well. So they think, okay, well, maybe there's something to this, and maybe I want to try that, or maybe I want to try this. And then next thing you know, you're a whole family of hippies. I mean,
yes. And we're moving to the cabin to live off the grid.
Everybody's ready. Let's go. We'll have like a compound. It'll be amazing.
We're going to share everything.
There you go. Yeah. We're growing our own food. I'm all over it.
It sounds good.
I love it. I love that. So before we part, please, and I know we've talked about so many rituals and morning rituals that you want, but this is just such an incredible practice for people to begin. So for those who are maybe starting, or maybe haven't tried something new, what would be your go-to that you can share with our audience that would really help to raise their vibes, start their day in such a positive?
Yes, let's raise the vibes. This is what I would suggest, and what I do and what I love. Very simple. We wake up in the morning. You can have your warm coffee or tea. Don't go right to your device, but sit in silence. If you can manage to light a candle, bonus. And you sit in silence, and first you call forward 3 gratitudes, 3 or more gratitudes. And then you visualize your day going the way you want it to go. And by that, I mean, what I do is I just time travel a little bit, and I know what my day is going to be like. And so I just start to almost like I glimmer it with a little bit of sunshine or a little bit of light. And so, I'm just setting myself up for an expanded state as opposed to a contracted state.
Yes.
And then I carry on, and I go, okay, greet the kids with love, begin the day.
Beautiful. I love that. I happen to start my day with gratitude practice as well. So that's just beautiful. And I highly recommend it to everybody out there. It really does shift your vibe into such a positive. It's just beautiful. I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, it has been such a gift to share energy with you today. Thank you so much for being a part of Raise Your Vibes, for all the life-changing work that you're doing to help others, and really for helping to elevate the vibration of those near and far, all of us as a collective. We are all connected, and when you vibe higher, everyone around you will too. So let us raise the vibes together as one.
Athena, thank you so much. Such a true joy. A joy to speak with you.
Thank you, love. My pleasure. Thank you for being on Raise Your Vibes, and we will be in touch. And And to close, I will leave you with a sacred Reiki Reiju blessing for your highest good. You can learn more about how the beautiful Japanese meditation art of Reiki can create positive changes for your life at crystalreikihealer.com. Now, please take a moment to settle into your sacred space, whether this is in the car, parked on the side, at home, or simply with your intention to receive this moment of positive healing vibration, relaxing your mind, body, and spirit. We're going to just work on cleansing that aura, sweeping away any negativity, anything bringing worry to the mind, and channeling that divine love into your crown, opening and blessing your entire being, divine light. And then to your mind, bringing in that beautiful energy of love to your thoughts and cleansing away any negativity, sweeping any negativity from your aura, your mind's eye, and channeling that divine healing light through your crown. And to your mind, filling your mind and your thoughts with the energy of love. And over your ears, that everything you hear be from a place of love. And over your mouth, that everything you communicate be from a place of love. And over your mind's eye, shining that beautiful healing light into your third eye, radiating like the sun's energy to your spirit. And to your throat, that everything you communicate, you hear, you say, you speak, you absorb, be from a place of love. And over your heart, that everything you feel within your essence, letting that love shine through you and out to the world around you. And to your hands, that everything you touch throughout your day will be from a place of love. Please bring your hands back to prayer position known as Gasao and Reiki, and take a moment of gratitude. Gratitude for yourself, for allowing yourself this space to receive the healing gift of Reiki. And whenever you are ready, please have a glass of cool water to assist grounding. Whenever you are ready. I am your host and crystal Reiki healer, Athena Bahri, and I am so grateful to have shared energy together today with the wonderful support of our sponsor, Westwood Clinic. Living without pain is their gift to you. Join me here next week for another episode of Raise Your Vibes. Wishing you all so much love, healing, and many blessings. We would love to feature your brands and products on our show, Raise Your Vibes. Please contact info@raiseyourvibestv.com for sponsorship opportunities to raise awareness to your brand. Disclaimer: Reiki and other forms of energy healing shared on the show are meant to be supplementary healing practices. Always contact your medical licensed professional for questions or concerns regarding your physical, emotional, and mental health. Thank you.